Hey everybody, Low Quality here, finally getting around to making a Barbarian Unique Tier List. It's going to be really straightforward. I'm going to go over 3 different criteria per unique. One, is it a good item? Does it actually do what it wants to do? 2, does it require a specific skill to use? And then 3, is it fun? There are a lot of items here that are fun, but they're kind of shitty, so I'll try to bump them up just if they're a lot of fun to use. Uh, Starting off, we're going to check out the best unique, in my opinion, Rage of Harrogath. S tier straight up. The Lucky Hit ability allows you to reduce cooldowns of non-ultimate skills if you apply Bleed to elites. You have multiple ways of doing that. You can do this with core skills. You could do this with Flay. Flay is a basic skill, so you could basically use Flay in any build and get the benefit of these cooldowns. Certain builds, you're going to be using this for your shouts. Other builds, you could use it for your defensive talents. Just overall, fantastic, unique. Up next is going to be Gohr's, and Gohr's is an unlucky item on this list. Initially, it was a very good item. One of the downsides is that it's only for War 1, so nobody else can really take advantage of it. And it is a lot of fun, so it really does almost check every box. Just because it's only War 1, you might bump it down 1. But the real killer is got nerfed. And there's nowhere in-game that you know about this. But there's a cap on the damage, so you can't just keep channeling War 1 forever and have it do infinite damage. As well as the other downside to this item being that there's no crit on it. Attack speed is a dead stat for Whirlwind, so it is one of those weird situations where I don't know what Blizzard was thinking with the stats on the item. Overall, I'm landing between a B or a C. I'm going to go C for now, but we might bump it up to make some more room. But initially, it probably would have been S or A tier. Up next is Battle Trance. So Battle Trance is a very interesting item for me. I want it to be good. I just don't know if it will be good. So the effect is really strong. You get more stacks of Frenzy, and you get bonus attack speed for other skills that you use, right? So even though this unique requires a skill, which in this case is Frenzy, the whole point of it is using Frenzy as a support ability. So conceptually, I think this is one of the better uniques. Is it fun? Not really. Frenzy isn't the most fun skill to use. You just auto-attack a bunch. And what really kills this is that I'm not sure if there's any ability right now that can really take advantage of a ton of attack speed. A lot of Barb endgame builds use Unbridled Rage, which just eats up, Unbridled Fury. It just eats up your resource, basically. So the more attack speed you have with 5 stacks, plus this 20% attack speed, I think you could get 45% attack speed to alternate skills with 5 stacks of Frenzy. So there's something to this. I'm pretty sure I'm going to put this like A or B tier for now. It's crazy good. You get a bunch of damage reduction on the item. You also get a bunch of damage reduction if you go damage reduction instead of the attack speed Frenzy rune. I'm very high on this item, but I just haven't found a way to fit it into a build yet. I think you can put it into the Hoda build if you want to go for like a more speed farmy builds. Right now they run 50% increased attack speed when you crit with core skills, so I think you could apply another 50%. I don't know if there's an attack speed cap, but for me, I think this again checks every box. Even though it requires Frenzy to use, you can it's in a support capacity. So basically you're going to be attacking with your basic attack anytime you want to keep this buff up, but then you just go crazy with like a core skill or something. So yep. Next up, we got 100,000 steps, instantly F tier. I'm going to move out these other weapons just to give him the whole row. Sadly, this was a very interesting item. The passive is not good. The unique part of it is just not very good for a few different reasons. It's really hard to like plan your walking arsenal in such a way that you're going to get value from the ground stomp. If you use it as just like a generic, like you go this build, but you don't actually run ground stomp on your bar, I think that's where the most power could come from this item, right? You basically have a way to stun enemies for free, get a little bit of fury back, and then move on from there. But because it gives you ranks to ground stomp, and the only real benefit of that is that it reduces the ground stomp cooldown. I'm not really sure what they were thinking, right? You see plus ranks to ground stomp, you want to use it, but the real use of this is to not use ground stomp on your bar. It just doesn't, I don't like how it's at odds with itself. Two, it's a pair of boots, and the boots have no movement speed. You're losing out on 20% movement speed. It's the most like basic feature of boots in any ARPG. My friend pointed out that I think they're trying to get around that by using attacks reduce evades cooldown, but it just doesn't feel good at all. And because it's like, maybe that's what they're going for with these uniques. They're like trying to be a little bit more outlandish, a little out there, but it just doesn't feel good at all. And this is one of the uniques that I feel like there's a lot of potential, but for now I want to put it F tier because I want them to know that they gotta change it. On to my personal favorite item, Magnum Opus. So this item is one of the items that like early on, you can kind of see that it's like giga strong. I'm putting it in S tier. I don't think it's going to go in S tier for everybody. And just a reminder again, this is my tier list, not necessarily everybody's tier list. So post your own down below if you want. Shit on me for my opinions, but Magnum Opus, S tier for sure. You can use it in multiple builds. It's one of the only weapons that actually enables some of these more niche builds because it's a multiplier on damage that does not require it to be a core skill. And then, I don't know, overall, it's something to chase for. That's probably a positive and a negative. A lot of you guys have probably gotten Magnum Opuses that have rolled, 1% to 2%, which they're not like super useful. But I've enjoyed trying to hunt down a good one. I got really lucky, and I think my first one was 3%. But yeah, it's fun in that it enables... I've had the most fun with the Deathblow build, and this allowed it to do a bunch more damage. I don't know, not much more to say. This is kind of my channel-defining item right now, so hopefully they'll make more uniques in a similar way to this one. Up next, we've got Overkill. Overkill is one of those uniques that kind of got unlucky. It's been nerfed, it's been tweaked a little bit. But it's one of the best uniques at being fun, I think. So it takes a skill, Deathblow, which is primarily single target, and it makes it more of an AoE ability. It shoots out like a beam of energy, which is fucking awesome. Tons of fun to play. But the downside is that they removed ranks to Deathblow. So this the stats up here, these are actually wrong. It's just like basic stats on the weapon now. So if you're going a Deathblow build, you aren't forced to use this. Which that's a positive, but the negative is that it doesn't really do much else outside of this unique effect. And because of how I play, I want to push higher tier Nightmare content. And this effect is actually anti-synergistic with Deathblow. So the idea for Deathblow is that you use it, you kill something, you use it again. And Overkill actually makes it so that you kill too much stuff, right? So you're actually going to be using it, killing all the small minions in like an elite pack. The elites might stay up. If you have enough damage, maybe you kill everything. I don't really know. I need to mess around with it more. But I definitely really like this item conceptually. It only applies to Deathblow, so that's a knock on it. It's tons of fun. That's the biggest positive. And does it work? It definitely works. So for now, let's go B tier. I need to mess around with it more. Maybe it'll move up in the future. Hellhammer. What do we have here? Once again, I think this is an old... it's hard to find items that are up to date, but there are no plus ranks to Upheaval for this item. It is just generic stats and the unique ability of Upheaval ignites the ground. So once again, it's a unique that only applies to one skill. It's not a lot of fun. It just makes the ground burn. I mean, visually it might be a little interesting, but not too crazy. There is really no build that kind of supports this. So I've noticed a trend. There are a few items that are trying to force fire damage with Barbarian. There's affixes that are like you deal a bunch of fire damage to nearby enemies when berserking. So I think you could probably do like a weird like lowish level like AoE grinding build with this. My issue is that Thorns just does that and better. So Hellhammer, let's just drop it into F as well. It is pretty close to 100,000 steps, in my opinion. But overall, just it somehow missed the mark. Yeah, I'm not really sure. We're getting towards the end of the tier list now, and we are on to Fields of Crimson. So this is overall a great unique. It does only affect Rupture, but because Rupture is more of a support ability, this is basically for any bleed build that you're looking to try out. The unique effect on it is pretty interesting. There's like a flat damage that it does. The effect is really cool. It's a blood pool, but then it also just has this benefit of a 10% increase more bleed damage. So it does everything that you want. Is it fun? Sort of. It doesn't really change too much. I'm leaning towards like B or C for this. It definitely is one of the better items that I've seen. I don't really know too much myself. I haven't done too many bleed builds. But it definitely is one of the better designed uniques, in my opinion. Final item we're going to be looking at is Ancient's Oath. It's a two-handed axe, and it's one of those items that only touches on one skill. In this case, it's Steel Grasp. This is once again a skill that can be used in multiple builds. But in this case, ranks to Steel Grasp don't really do much outside of, lower cooldown. The damage is almost non-existent. Although I feel like there's maybe some build where you could go Steel Grasp, Death Blow, swapping them off, lowering the cooldown, just throwing them out there. With the fun factor, though, this kind of gets a knock because Steel Grasp itself is kind of a shitty skill to use. You throw out the chains and there's like a massive delay. There is no concept of it uses like a weapon, so you can't like use a faster weapon to like throw the chains out faster. I don't know if it's affected by attack speed. That might be the case. So maybe I just need to go like a heavier attack speed build for this item. But yeah, just kind of weird overall. It is more of a support item, I think. I almost want to move it up, just because I know at least it's trying to do something where you can actually pull in more monsters when you throw out Steel Grasp. But yeah, I'm not really sure. Yeah, so I think that's going to do it. Overall, we looked at 9 uniques today. 2 at the top are really the standouts to me. They can be used in a bunch of different builds. They're very strong. A tier is probably going to be one of the most controversial in that a little bit. Nobody gives a fuck about Battle Trance. So people will be like, why is that there? Overkill and Fields of Crimson, I think, are the better of the unique weapons for the Barb class. Ancient's Oath and Hellhammer belong down here. Gohr's is kind of the one I'm least sure about. Initially, it was S or A for sure, and after the nerfs, I just haven't used it a lot. But definitely 100%, 100,000 steps in F tier. I hope they change it. I'll do, I think, another video moving forward on like uniques that I would want, including changes that I would make to this set of uniques. So stick around for that. Hit me with a like, subscribe if you're still watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks.